Where do you live?
In the city.
Do you have a house?
Apartment.
Own or rent?
Rent.
What do you do for a living?
Lots of things.
Where's your office?
I don't have one.
How come?
I don't need one.
Where's your wife?
Don't have one.
How come?
It's a long story.
Do you have kids?
No, I don't.
How come?
It's an even longer story.
Are you my dad's brother?
I'm your dad's brother, all right.
Buck Russell had always been the black sheep of the family.
I'm stunned that I'm related to you.
Until one night,
Buck, we have a problem with the kids. We're stuck for somebody to watch them.
Oh, please, not that.
Can we trust him?
My brother, for God's sake.
I won't let him get into that Satan stuff or any of the new chicks. I'll leave that for me.
Wow.
I'm kidding.
now he's making them breakfast,
Cigar?
No thanks.
making them lunch, and making them crazy.
What did you do?
He's irresistible.
And I want to ask you why I'm so attracted to you.
I wouldn't even guess at that.
Whoa! Oh!
He's unbelievable.
I'm Anita Horgar.
I'm Buck Melanoma. Molly Russell's ward.
He's
Would you just
John Candy as Uncle Buck.
What does he like to drink? I've been leaving the toilet seats up. Is that what the blue water is? It's not good for him, huh?
Uncle Buck, the new comedy from John Hughes.
You have much more hair on your nose than my dad.
Well, nice of you to notice.
I'm a kid, that's my job.
Coming soon to a theater near you.
Hello, hello. I'm Katie, and this is Retromade, your pop culture rewind. This is season 2, and you are in for an epic ride. John Hughes, Shermer High, and beyond. Today, I have 2 returning guests from last season, Scott and Steve. Thank you for coming back to do this John Hughes season with me on Retromade. Tell us what's new with you guys and your world of podcasting. Yeah.
I'll let my friend over there, the older gentleman from across the pond go first. Go ahead, Steve. Give her a little information.
We're just over halfway through dropping a Bruce. Bruce Willis straight to video, or straight to disc, straight to streaming extravaganza.
STDs, as we call them.
The STD, the Bruce Willis STDs.
Love it.
So we're just over halfway through on that, which has been a bit of an ordeal, Scott. I think it's...
Yeah. You know, I think I've said it in a couple places. It's sad because we're watching a hero of both of ours as a kid, grow up. I mean, Steve and I have talked about it on our Men of Action where, whether good or bad, the movies of the 80s kind of informed what male role models and what we thought men were supposed to be. And Bruce Willis as John McClane is probably the biggest example of Stallone's awesome, but Rambo and Schwarzenegger, those guys aren't real. That's like an action figure type of life that only very few can attain. John McClane from Bruce Willis felt like we could actually be John McClane.
Mm-hmm.
And to then, obviously I do Church of Tarantino, then to have him in Pulp Fiction. And now to see, now that he's no longer able to act anymore. And now we're really at the point where we're watching the aphasia really peek through. It is like watching, I know probably some of your listeners or even people, maybe yourself, but dementia sucks for the people who are obviously going through, we have no idea how they feel, but to watch a loved one disappear before your eyes is very tough. And that's kind of like what Steve and I are going through. We're having a good time watching the movies and, having our fun times with it. But at the same time, we're watching our hero disappear before our eyes, like just disappear before our eyes. And it's been a kind of a sad, melancholy kind of trip. I mean,
Yeah,
we're glad we're doing it, but you're kind of like, man, it's like somebody's going to be like, oh my God, it's John McClane at the end. All of a sudden it's like, doo-doo, I've been faking it the whole time. I'm being meta. He's Andy Kaufmaning it, where he's like, it's a whole bit. It's not. It's just Bruce Willis is now kind of gone.
It's bittersweet. It's bittersweet.
Well, and you're only
Definitely.
halfway through. I mean, I can't really imagine what the
just
last
over, aren't
ones
we?
are going to be like,
Well, if they're anything like where we're in, shit show central is what they are. They are. They've been tough.
We've had a few surprises currently, but it's been a rough.
Yeah.
It's been
season 2 was tough.
getting rougher and rougher as it goes, but you never know what you're going to get.
You never know.
You never know. So
or who's going to be in them. That's the fun part too. It's like, you're like, how did this person? You kind of find like these careers of what I would say like CW stars or the WB or, shows over in America. You're like, oh, those guys were popular back in the early 2000s. And now you're like, what did they ever do? They were in Bruce Willis STDs. That's what they were in. They found a new life there.
Super fun. Yeah. Awesome. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And Scott, you said you have Church of Tarantino.
Yep. Church of Tarantino's in season 4. Now it's basically a weekly podcast because I've got psychological problems. It's the only way to get through what we're going through, you and I, Katie, here in our country. It's just kind of put your head down and pretend that your little bubble is all that's around you, and you just grin and bear it, white knuckle it. You know what? I'll be honest with you. This is not to be glib. Sometimes right now I kind of wish I was in Bruce Willis's shoes. He's having a great time. He doesn't know what's going on, and it's probably the best way to live right now.
Ignorance.
I know this sounds terrible.
Yeah, no, it's true. Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah. It is. But so that's going really well. And then Steve and I we also have the Men of Action, and we are halfway through season 3. But season 2 of the shift to the Men of Action, and we've been having fun with that. So
we're doing a lot of sequels at the moment.
Yeah,
pitching them against each other. That's been surprising as well. I've had some.
Kind of doing some what you did. So for our February episode, we have 2 Eddie Murphys. We did Another 48 Hours, and we did Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Ooh, that'll be a
we
good
hadn't
one.
seen those in a long time. It's that nostalgia. We've learned that sometimes how we remember the movie, as we'll probably talk about today from Uncle and what really happens in the movie are sometimes not the same anymore after 30 plus years of remembering them. So fun journeys. We enjoy it. It's always been about the conversation for us. So we just kind of enjoy busting each other's balls, busting the balls of the people who made these films and having fun with them. And then people like it. Awesome. If not,
you all should tune in. All their stuff will be in the show notes. So check that out.
You.
So we're going to go back to 1989 for the time capsule.
I wish we could.
Right?
Is this real? Am I being sucked through my computer, please? We're going to 89?
We are going to go to 89, and I have put a new spin, pun intended, on the time capsule. So let's start by opening it from August 1989. Okay.
Yeah.
This is high tech.
Well, so there's 12 categories in the Retromade time capsule for season 2. So I'm gonna spin on your behalf, you guys.
Thank you.
And see what we come up with here. What did we get? Ooh, it's on the cusp. Stars and Scandals. Stars and Scandals. Okay, their rise was meteoric, their downfall even swifter. One moment they were winning awards, the next their voices were called into question. A single technical mishap exposed a truth they could never recover from. Who were they?
Milli Vanilli.
Vanilli.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
Great if you actually saw Milli Vanilli.
You did not.
I did. My father was in radio, and they came around here in the summer one time, and he had tickets. So, this is before we knew that there was the rumors that they were lip syncing, but at the same time, most pop bands at that time, because they had so many choreographed stuff, a lot of it seemed like they were lip syncing anyways. It was
for a
hard
live
to tell
show,
if you were
especially.
getting, yeah. And so we went to see them, and I think Young MC opened for them.
Young MC opened.
I know. Yes. For Milli Vanilli. Yeah. So yes, I have seen. Here's the thing. Whatever happened to the real people who sang?
I know.
Right? Like the people who sang, the real voices was what won. So the guys pretending to be shouldn't work. But what about the people? I mean, where's the real Milli Vanilli? That's the news special I want to see is what happened to the real people who sang. They should have won all these awards. Were they that ugly? How ugly are the
it's
people
Smelly
who
Cat
sing?
from Friends, you guys. Smelly Cat.
Yes.
Yeah. Like when she gets the video. Yeah.
But like I said, where are those people? Those people should be making millions of dollars. They won awards. They had award-winning voices. Are they that ugly and deformed that they can't be seen in public?
Deformed?
That's all I can think of. Like, why? I mean, you've got platinum album selling voices who also, were winning Grammys and all that stuff, and they were selling millions of records. The voices didn't change it. The people pretending to be them did.
I'm more concerned with the fact that you went to see Milli Vanilli more than anything. I feel like I don't know you anymore.
Listen, I don't know myself either. You know what? I was the first domino that Started America's downfall.
Yeah. And
Oh man.
girl, you know it's true.
Oh.
Blame it on the rain.
Ooh.
They had a look.
Like they have some bangers. They do. They have
Yeah.
some bangers. Whoever
Mhm.
they are, they were good. Yeah, they were. That was fun. That was a fun time back then.
All right, you guys. This is the next one.
Oh,
Fad flashback. Okay, so in '89, several fads and cultural phenomena left a lasting impact on society. What movie premiering in June 23rd, 1989, became the highest grossing movie of the year? Its success was a lot of merchandise and kind of ushered in an era of blockbusters.
Batman?
Batman.
oh yeah, that
Oh.
good one. Yeah, that's right. Batman. Yeah, the Prince as the did the whole album.
Yeah.
I love that album. The Prince has.
Oh,
I got to see Prince. That should balance things out. But he didn't do a single song, and this was like early '90s. Not a single song from the Batman album. He's got some pretty good songs on there. He
I
just
don't
said
think I realized Prince did that album.
the whole album.
All
the
I know is
entire
that-
album is him.
I
Yep.
think I know Shaun from Shaun of the Dead did not like that album. Didn't they? They used that to throw at the zombies.
Sean from Shaun of the Dead can go fuck himself. All right. How dare he besmirch the great Prince? All right.
Little Red
No, no.
Corvette
Bad
came out
Dance?
today.
Yes, I
Today.
saw that.
Yeah.
The dirtiest
we're
song
recording.
that ever got
Mhm.
past the FCC.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about the lyrics in that song,
Oh,
sometimes
yeah.
you go, "Holy
What song?
shit.
Little Red Corvette.
Oh right, yeah, yeah.
83.
I'm aware.
Yeah,
She's got
are we
some
running?
Trojans in her. She's got Trojans in her pockets. Some of them used.
Pocket full
The
of horses.
Pickers.
Yeah.
Sorry, pocket full of horses. Some of them
Pocket
used.
full of horses.
She's got pictures of the jockeys that been here before.
Mhm,
Shut.
mhm.
Prince was a genius at writing subtextual lyrics that
Mhm.
people didn't realize. You know, you're like, hey, in the back of the car singing the song, and as I got older, I'm like, oh my god, this is disgusting.
All right, let's see what else we got, you guys. Mm,
Oh,
Totally Tasty from '89. This snack offered a 3-foot-long roll of fruity, chewy candy, providing a playful and tasty treat. There's
the-
two that are very similar.
Is it the fruit roll up foot long, or is that something else? Because the one I know of is the fruit roll up had the foot long roll out thing.
Fruit by
Or
the
is this
foot.
something?
It's
Oh,
called Fruit
okay.
by the Foot.
Okay, fruit by the foot.
And then similarly introduced
You're
in
not missing
89,
out, Steve.
Yeah.
It'll destroy your intestines.
This gum became a favorite among kids for its unique packaging and fun factor. Very similar. What was it called?
Is this Big League Chew
No, it was like the
or the
long,
candy cigarettes?
No, the long. It's similar to Fruit by the Foot.
Oh, is that the
But-
bubble tape?
Bubble tape.
Bubble
Yep.
tape by Bubble
Bubble
Yum or
tape.
whatever it was?
Mm-hmm. Bubble tape.
Listen, Steve, we're the king of sugar over here in America.
I know.
All right, let me
I'm
tell you
just,
something,
I'm just
buddy.
a spectator here.
Let me
I
tell
don't
you
know.
something.
I'm not familiar with these. I'm afraid.
Do you know what the stars on our flag are made of? Fucking sugar, bitch. That's why it's white.
That's why it's white. All right, let's go. Let's do one more.
You should make a whole episode of just doing each of the 12
These trivia,
questions.
I know. No, we already did fad
Rated fad
flashback.
flashback.
Come on, man.
Unbelievable. It's rigged.
It
Elon
is.
Musk is messing with it. Ooh.
Prime time rewind.
This is perfect because in 1989, I'm a couple years younger than Steve, but I'm 14, 15 years old now. So now, like I'm a little bit older, so I can start staying up a little bit later. I know a little bit more about the TV at this point than I like. If 1983, I'm a little
It was,
kid.
oh yeah, for
still
sure.
don't know enough.
Okay. A patriarch in colorful attire kept his household in check. A sharp-witted matriarch led her working-class brood. A familiar gathering spot thrived on laughter and loyalty. Young minds sought wisdom with historic walls. And everyday blunders became must-see TV. What 5 shows kept audiences hooked in 1989?
The last one is, oh my God, why? It's AMV, America's Funniest Videos, Funniest
yes.
Home Videos.
Yes.
The Cosby
Um,
Show in there?
Was the first one The Cosby Show?
Yeah.
What was the second one? Sorry, I thought you were reading one whole show. So what was the second?
No, sorry. Yeah,
You're
these
good.
were a patriarch in colorful attire. We got that one.
Yep.
Sharp-witted matriarch led her working-class brood. Familiar gathering spot thrived on laughter and loyalty. Young minds sought wisdom within historic walls.
The
Roseanne,
third
second one?
Roseanne, yes.
Third one, Cheers.
Yep. There's one
And
more.
the fourth one. Is that I feel like this is a game on
89.
Nickelodeon.
Prime time. No, it's prime time.
Prime time.
remember.
Okay.
Prime time.
So Young Minds in historic. Jesus. Is this Young Indiana Jones?
No, it is not. Steve, what do you think?
What was the
Young Minds, historical, and what was it? Sorry,
Is
what was
it
it?
the,
We're old.
different
Young minds sought wisdom within historic walls. Steve is getting there.
different world?
Yes.
Like
It was a spin-off from The Cosby Show.
From The
A
Cosby
different
Show.
world.
All right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Hey.
I love that show. That
I
was a
know
great
some
show.
things.
Nice.
You do.
Nice. That
All
was
right.
good. That was
Thanks
good.
for
Cool, that was
playing, guys.
fun.
You did pretty good. You did pretty
We
good.
got to up our game now, Steve. We got to have some kind of game now. All right. Damn it. Season
Yeah, I
4.
like that. I dug
did.
that.
That was fun. Season 4. We're gonna have some games.
Mhm.
We're totally gonna steal from you. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
You might want to trademark that.
We'll give you a little hint. This is from Katie.
I got to tell you
from the
though,
Retromade.
just it's a lot more work to
Oh, yes.
prepare.
Yes.
So I
Yeah,
shot
Steve
myself.
can do it. He can do something around here. God
what,
damn it.
what?
I shot myself in the foot. All right, you guys. This season is John Hughes, so I have
choice.
to ask: at what point did you realize that John Hughes was the mastermind behind so many of these iconic 80s and 90s movies?
Probably mid to late 90s. Because I think, again, I'm not trying to, it feels like in the 90s, we started to realize that there's directors
Mm-hmm.
as opposed, because I feel like a lot of the times in the 90s or the 80s, it was actors that were kind of leading everything. Now, of course, we know Spielberg, right? Like, so Spielberg was like the
Right.
mainstay, but you're also younger. So that's how you know Spielberg. Scorsese, I didn't know who that was until I was in the 90s. Coppola, you learn about these guys because now it's, the auteurs. I think a lot of the Tarantino-esque people with the independence movement in the 90s helped us now to appreciate directors and not just go to movies for Stallone, Schwarzenegger, Willis, because that was kind of how everything was made back in the 80s, at least the adult fare. So I didn't know what, I knew the John Hughes movies. I didn't know it was just John Hughes, right? It's like, Ferris Bueller and all these ones. You don't know that it's him until a certain time. So I think I learned in the early 90s that the movies I liked were from John Hughes, as opposed to knowing when I went to the movie, oh, hey, it's this John Hughes' new movie, that kind of feel.
What about you, Steve? Did you know as a kid?
So
Or
at the time of Uncle Buck, I was 17.
mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. I think I was probably aware at that time, but only just, because I think we'd had Ferris Bueller and a few other things, so I'm not trying to be a smarty pants, but I think at that time I was quite aware, I think.
It does make sense. And he had already, by this time, because he was really known for, when you think of John Hughes, a lot of people think of the Brat Pack type movies,
Right.
his earlier teen type movies. And then he transitioned into more like family friendly fare.
Yeah.
Like,
So yeah, Breakfast Club.
mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have been aware then, but I think by Uncle Buck time, that's 89. Maybe it came out in 89. I might not have seen it in 89. I might have seen it in 1990. So I was like 17, 18. I think by then I would have put the pieces together, so to speak. But that's just, I think
Most
so.
likely a lie, but it's fine.
I didn't know he directed Uncle Buck, to be quite honest with you. I'm just riffing. No,
When you look at some of his stuff, you realize that he actually wrote more than he directed, which is kind of
right.
I think a thing that not a lot of people probably realized is that he's known for a lot, but a lot of it is as a writer.
Yeah.
You just assume he's always been the director of these things when you're like, oh no, he's actually written. I'm looking at this thing right now. He is the 1980s teen movie, right? Like it's 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, Weird Science, Pretty in Pink, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Some Kind of Wonderful.
Yep.
She's having a baby, and then he starts to move into, as you were saying, Steve, like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, The Great Outdoors,
Classic.
Uncle Buck we're talking about, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. He writes that, Home Alone. He starts to slowly turned more into that. I mean, some flubber. Like, there's some of them I'm like, he did that?
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
Dennis the Menace. Like, you go, what? He wrote those? So
Yeah, I mean, I was mainly talking about him as a director.
no, I know, but I think
Yeah,
a lot of
but
it was
yeah,
sold as John Hughes, right? Like, it's sold
Mhm.
as like, yeah, he didn't direct it, but can you tell me who the director of some of these are? You're kind of like, no. You go, John Hughes?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That could be a
Yeah.
good game for you. John Hughes, writer or director? Which one? And be like,
There's only like a handful that he wrote and directed, of
Yeah.
which this is Uncle Buck is. So let's get into Uncle Buck.
mm,
Released August 16th, 1989. It is PG. Yeah, it's PG. I don't know. We'll talk about that. 7.1 IMDb. And he wrote and directed. If you guys have not seen Uncle Buck in a while, first of all, go watch it, come back. But
yes.
it follows the story of Buck Russell, a carefree, unemployed bachelor who is unexpectedly called upon to babysit his brother's 3 kids when a family emergency arises. Initially seen as irresponsible and out of place, Buck struggles to connect with his teenage niece, Tia, while managing the antics of her younger siblings, Miles and Maisie. Through his unconventional but well-meaning ways, Buck gradually wins them over, proving his loyalty and love for the family. So it's like a kind of a movie trope, but I don't know. Again, in 89, I don't know how much, like Mr. Mom, also written by John Hughes, but there's a lot of movies that followed this similar classic fish out of water kind of a story where there's an unlikely caregiver. But I think maybe was this one of the earlier ones that we watched anyway.
If it's not one of the early ones, it's one of the best ones. That's for sure.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
John Candy. And I mean, I've watched it again today. I haven't probably watched it in probably 3 decades. It's probably been almost that long. I forgot how funny this thing was. Hilarious. Like, I remember watching it today going, why aren't we making more comedies like this? Like, all the comedies we have nowadays kind of suck a lot. And this was, I mean, just brilliant. It was just funny from start to finish. I forgot some of the gags that were in it. I'm sure we'll get into them, but like with the clown, there's just certain
my
things
God.
that happen. You're just kind of like, my God, I forgot that happened. Oh my God. And Macaulay Culkin.
Oh my God.
Oh my, this is where anyone who thinks he just, started Home Alone. No. You got to see Uncle Buck. Macaulay
But didn't-
Culkin earns Uncle Buck, or earns that through Uncle Buck.
There was so much, it's hard to, because it was the next year. Home Alone was
Mhm.
in 1990.
90, yep.
Which we'll cover on this show. But several points, I was like, oh my God, that's so similar. Beat for beat Home
Mhm.
Alone stuff, like where he's washing the dishes, where he's like that rapid fire Q&A with John Candy. There was another one too, where he's, I'm a kid, that's my job, or something
Yeah.
like that. It was very
He
similar.
doesn't know the word for balls and he goes, nuts. It's just,
Yeah.
oh my God, it was just so funny. I mean, it was so good. I forgot how they were just so much fun. Those movies were just so much fun. And now that you're an adult, and Disney has done this for forever, and my kids are now of an age where they now have realized the adult themed jokes that are slid into kids movies that they have
Mhm.
no clue. Like just some of the
washing machine
the
bit.
washing machine bit, and even in the beginning where they're talking about the word crap and shit. With it's just so much fun is happening in this film that I kind of, it made me really nostalgic for the 80s. I really was
Right.
like, I miss these kind of movies, and I miss John Candy. I don't think,
Huh.
I know a lot of our, because, he's, I guess he'd be boomer generation, really. He's not technically Gen X. And everyone always, laments about Chris Farley dying too soon. But John Candy is a genius comedian. And, oh, wow. I mean, you don't realize how big a hole is left in the universe until you see him again. You go, my God, this man was just, he didn't have to do anything special. Didn't do any pratfalls. He's a big guy. He'd have to fall down and break a chair. You know what I mean? And, play on the fat roll. He just was like, he just had great
I
time.
mean, every
delivery.
second he's on the screen is just
Joy.
just fun and amusing. He doesn't.
It's effortless.
When he's doing natural things, there's just something about the guy that we all. Yeah, that's a terrible loss, really, because some of my favorites. And he did
John
a
Can-
couple
yeah,
of
yeah.
And he's in a
did
great
couple of
outdoor
drama-
show cover,
He
too.
did
He's-
it-
yeah.
Well, he did
Planes,
a
Trains, and
couple of.
Automobiles.
Home Alone.
I mean, that's my fave. That's
Yeah.
my.
Planes, Trains. So is there a modern equivalent to John Candy, do you guys think? I know Chris Farley, to your point, probably got compared
more
to
of
him.
a pratfall guy. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think John, that was his big claim to fame, and he was good at it. There's no doubt
Mhm.
about it. But I don't know that there's a guy who is as
'Cause
warm and
he-
inviting as a funny man,
Yeah.
right? Like,
I think comedy is suffering right now,
yeah,
though.
I
Right?
Yeah,
would
you're
love
right.
to have an Uncle Buck.
Mhm.
I wish I was an Uncle Buck. You know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of like,
I am Uncle Buck.
I want to
Like,
be Uncle
think-
Buck. You know what I mean?
I
want to
am
be
the Uncle Buck.
I've got to be honest with you. When I was watching it today as well, and I hadn't seen it, much like Scott, I probably hadn't. I'll say that's been at least 20 years since I've seen it. But yeah, I think there's comedy is suffering right now, and I don't think there's anyone really like him of his caliber right now. But then I would say that in general, comedy is not in good shape right now.
Maybe
Mhm.
there's not as good a writer as John Hughes either.
Mm,
You know, because
I
they're, you know, I mean, you know, as you and I will talk about, or I talk about mine, Tarantino and the muses he has. Sometimes you get the best performances out of certain actors, and then they go into another movie. And you're like, Jesus, this person was in the same movie. And when you, I mean, John Candy in and of himself, he doesn't need John Hughes, but when you get a guy who's amazing at writing comedy, and you got a guy who knows how to deliver comedy, and you put them together, you're going to get gold, and you got freaking gold from almost everything John Candy and John Hughes do together.
Agreed.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree. I think it depicted, I hadn't seen it in a while when I watched it yesterday. I forgot how it opened, and it's just a very ordinary family. It depicts family dynamics and like bratty teenagers. And
which
and-
still lands today.
yeah,
Because I went through that with my daughter in the late 2010s. And it's just, I mean, I was like, holy shit, there's my daughter on the fucking screen. Like I mean, you know, I did notice this when she walks down the opening shot of her walking, she's in leggings. That's an outfit that, except for the hat, maybe,
Mhm.
that's an
Yeah,
outfit
the
that you
hat,
see
yeah.
kids wearing today, right? It's
Mhm.
kind of like, Jesus, this hasn't really aged too poorly because that's
Good
kind of
point.
like what some kids are wearing nowadays.
That's
Although
a good point.
the fun about John Hughes movies is he always has these Chicago suburbs. And I like how the daughter's like, we had to move from Indianapolis because mom and dad couldn't afford things. I'm thinking, you actually moved up because I think mom and dad are making more money. I've been to Indianapolis, and the suburbs of Chicago are not
way-
cheap.
Agreed.
And you're in
agreed.
this giant fucking house. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
I think you're doing pretty okay there, Tia. I think you better stop being such a bitch. You're
Was she-
doing really good.
They also depict the parents are so focused on their jobs that they're
Yeah.
not present. Like,
That's the 1980s,
yeah.
right? Like, I was kind of like, that's my parents.
So,
Doesn't even know when the hockey season ended.
oh my God, that's right. I forgot about that. And then I would have loved to get takeout more, but we didn't. Like, we had home cooked meals, God forbid, you know? But they're like making fun of,
Mhm.
what a wonderful dinner, mom. Takeout,
Well, I think-
Chinese takeout.
I think seeing it, I think we probably watched it a hell of a lot when we were younger.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah, I do remember.
In
Because I
that-
remember quoting this quite a lot as
in
the,
the sort
as the
of home-
lines came back.
in the sort of home video area, I think, and at the age we were all roughly at that time, we probably did rewatch. That's why, I mean, when I hadn't seen it for over 20 years, but I felt like I watched it a week ago. And it was so
Nice.
familiar. I was waiting for all the moments that
Mm-hmm.
I remember. I knew they were coming, you know, because that's sort of ingrained in my mind. So we must have seen these films a lot when we were younger. So, but yeah, John Candy, though. I mean, like I say, every minute he's on screen, he's just gold.
He really is. And he's one of those guys, he seems like a genuinely nice person too, you know, not no
Mhm.
scandals or anything.
Yeah, I've never heard anything to the contrary. You know what I mean? You
Mhm.
never hear anything like, oh, Jesus, what a drunk or what a
Mhm.
pederast he was. You know, he's just, no, it's John Candy.
John Candy.
One of Canada's great exports.
Ooh, yeah. Wow. Oh, don't, I was just,
There's
never
no
mind.
terrifying him.
So he plays Buck Russell. Let's talk about some of the other cast. So the teenager, Tia, so she's a bratty teenager, and
Mhm.
she's really who he, for the most part of the movie, is really butting heads with Tia, played by Jean Louisa Kelly. And did you guys recognize her from anything else? Like, she wasn't in a lot, I don't
I
think.
know she's been in some things. I couldn't place her because the movie I know her definitely from is obviously Uncle Buck. You know, I mean, I know she's one of those kids, like even her boyfriend Bug in there. I know I've seen him before in some 80s movies, but if you put him in a lineup, I couldn't tell you which one, you know, so.
It's funny because she also, aside from this, she's most known for playing the mom named Kim in the TV series Yes, Dear. like I want to say early mid 2000s. And so now I was trying to look for it yesterday when I rewatched it. So that's who she is. Maisie, the daughter, like this. So the teenage daughter Tia is like 15, and then Maisie is 6, and she's played by Gabby Hoffman. And she has gone on to play quite a few things, but she was also in Field of Dreams, Now and Then, 200 Cigarettes, and a couple of TV series, Girls and Transparent. She's in a number of other things, but she has gone on to have a fairly well-known career. And then Macaulay Culkin, obviously, is like the 8-year-old.
Who's this guy? I don't remember him.
He plays Miles.
Is he related to Kieran?
Yeah. I think it's his brother.
All right.
Yeah.
Quintessential 80s, 90s kid is Macaulay.
I can't stand him.
Really?
Are you being serious, Steve?
Like as an adult or as a kid actor?
I just hate him. I just don't like him. My heart, do you know what?
Are you mad because he got to hang out with Michael Jackson? You didn't. Is that what this is? Is there some selfishness?
I'm certainly not. I don't know what it is.
Really?
Do you know what? I actually, one thing I didn't remember about this movie was that he was in it.
Really? I love him.
And as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh no.
You're like, crap.
No.
But
now we know why Steve doesn't have kids. Macaulay Culkin. That was it.
Yeah.
It's funny
I loved him in this. Yeah.
I noted, I do not, I also don't have kids, and just generally they kind of annoy me, but
I teach them.
Oh my God. Bless you, Scott. I don't know how you do it.
I don't know either. I must be on some kind of drugs I don't know what I'm taking.
What age kids do you teach?
Fucking middle school. 12 to 15.
The worst.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It's tough. It's a tough go. But
Ooh.
That's why I have no hair. I mean, I knew early on. I was like, I'm not going to need this. This will do me no good.
I think it's an 80s thing. And again, I always feel like the cranky old lady that is like, oh, things were better in my day. But like the kids in this, I actually noted, because I am largely annoyed by children in movies and TV, generally, and in the world. But they were good. I was not annoyed at all by these kids. I thought the two younger,
John Candy and the two youngest ones, their interactions, I thought were just really, really great. I mean, it's sometimes you get some kids in movies, and like you said, you're like dragging planks of wood. You're like, why is this kid even in this fucking movie? Who do they know to get him in this film? Especially when it's not a kid's movie.
Right.
Like Steve hates this movie, but like The Goonies, that's a kid's movie, and so these kid actors are acting together, so that might be easier for them. But when you've got John Candy, and then you've got two nobodies,
right?
And they're got to act with him. I thought
they were really good.
The back and forth with Candy and Macaulay Culkin at the table. Do you have would you live in a house? Apartment. Would you have a job? You go the back and forth. Are you really my dad's brother? You got more hair. It's just kind of like the rapid fire was really a fun thing. And then the little girl with her sister first comes in. You said a bad word. Crap. No, it's shit. That's the whole back and forth with them. I thought they were really good. Steve probably hates them, but he hates everybody, so it's okay.
No, I don't know what it is. I just don't like that kid. And
that's fair.
Having said that, I mean, he's fine. He's good at what he does. Don't get me. There's just something about him.
He's not for you.
Not for me.
What did you think of Shanice, who plays John Candy's girlfriend? Shanice is the character's name.
Yeah.
Played by.
She's been in. I've seen her before.
She's been. She feels like she's been in everything.
She's like one of those 80s faces. Yeah, she's one of those 80s. Just that's that person again.
Amy Madigan is her name, and she's I believe an Irish. I mean, her last name is Irish, but I think she's like from Ireland.
Okay.
She was also in Field of Dreams.
Yeah, she's been in a hell of a lot.
She was his wife.
And then also Gone Baby Gone, like that really Irish neighborhood. Yeah. And she was nominated for an Oscar. I haven't seen this, but she was nominated for her supporting role in Twice in a Lifetime in 1986. And do you know who she's married to? Very famous actor. And they've been married since 1983. And I did not know this. This makes me love them.
I do not know.
It's not Kevin Costner.
No.
Let's see. Is it Gene Hackman?
No.
He just turned 95 the other day.
No. It's somebody her age range.
Dan Aykroyd. I don't know. I'm just going to start pulling some names from the 80s out.
Ed Harris, who I dig. I love Ed Harris.
Ed Harris.
No shit.
Yeah. They've been married since 1983. Isn't that cute?
He's also in Gone Baby Gone.
Yes.
Oh, is he one of the police officers?
Yes, he
Yeah.
is. He's one of the people. Yeah. Yeah. I don't give
Oh.
away for those who haven't seen it. 20.
Mm-hmm. But I really like that
It
movie.
is.
It's a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was
And
one of Ben
then-
Affleck's first directorial debuts, if I'm not mistaken.
That was his
Yeah, that would
first.
track.
Yeah.
And I like Casey
Great.
Affleck more than
Yeah,
that.
he's had some off the field issues,
Yeah.
but we like Steve and I like to separate. Steve and I
Does
like to
he?
separate.
Casey,
When that Me Too movie came out, he got a few things. But Steve and I like to, we separate. We separate what.
Okay.
Listen, I know Michael Jackson has done some terrible things. I know he has.
There's levels
I
to this
love
stuff,
his
though.
music.
There
though,
is.
but I love his music. So I don't want to have any. He's dead. He's long gone. But and what he did is horrible. But his music is still. It's still
Yeah,
really
I
good.
know,
Tom
I
Cruise,
know. But Kate-
great
but
actor.
Casey
Fucking
Affleck, I
nut
mean,
job.
Manchester by the Sea is just
Great.
Yep.
Yep.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Amazing. He's done some good stuff. He's good. He's
Speaking
actually
of the
great
Super
in Gone
Bowl,
Baby Gone.
Tonight, he and Ben Affleck will be in the new Dunkin' commercial. I know Steve doesn't care, but they've already talked about it, so that looks
Of
pretty
course.
funny.
I did like his spoof.
Oh, on SNL, the Dunkin'
Oh,
one?
that was great. Vanilla. What was
Brilliant.
it? Vanilla nuts. The vanilla nut taps. I know
Brilliant.
some things.
Steve, I know something.
I just, I know tangents all over the place of us were a nightmare.
I like a tangent, but getting back from the
Yes.
tangent.
Back to Uncle Buck,
um,
not the Affleck brothers.
So the parents in this didn't look familiar to me, really.
Me neither.
The only
But it's-
person who looked familiar was the brother, the one with the curly hair. He'd been like a father in another movie or two. He looked familiar. I couldn't tell you his name.
Buck's
but
brother.
The mother not,
yeah.
but Buck's brother had been in some things I know in the 80s. I just can't place him.
Yeah, his name is Garrett M. Brown, and he did a lot of TV work. So he was in Roswell Sisters Trouble. I don't know what that is. And then the movies Kick-Ass and Kick-Ass 2. And then the wife.
He was in Kick-Ass, really?
I've not seen, so I don't know. Elaine Bromka plays Cindy, the mom. She also she's more known for a lot of her TV work, most notably playing Dr. Riker on Days of Our Lives. That's who she is.
Mm.
And then one of my
Probably knows
favorite
her.
actresses, I adore Laurie Metcalf. She plays their eccentric
unhinged
nosy
neighbor.
She's from Roseanne. She's
Yes, she is.
Roseanne's sister, right?
Yeah, Jackie.
Yeah,
Aunt
yeah,
Jackie
yeah,
is,
yeah.
that's her most
She
famous
is so
role.
She is
good.
great in
She's
this.
so good.
I love her. This was one of her first movie roles.
Oh,
I was reached
she
on.
kills it.
Yeah. Her name in the movie is Marcy Dahlgren
Marcy.
Frost. And I loved the little Frost is my married name, but we got divorced, but I kept the hyphen. Everyone loves the hyphen.
Yeah, I like when he says I haven't dropped the frost, and he's kind of looking at her because she's kind of frosty when she first comes. He's kind of like, oh, it seems to track.
Oh my God. She was awesome in this. I loved her outfits I was like, I would wear those. She had some great outfits in this movie.
The fashion, it's weird, things, as I say, things come around,
Mm-hmm.
but some of the fashion still stays on point a little bit. I think we've kind of made the circle back around,
Yeah,
Because
it
now
happens.
90s
the
is
cars
like-
and certain things
yeah.
would definitely give off, but you could tell
Mhm.
some of this as a modern day movie and be hard for some people to tell up, right off the
that's
bat.
a good point. And then you had mentioned, you're like, I've seen Bug, Tia's boyfriend, in things before. He's played by Jay Underwood, and he's most known for The Boy Who Could Fly.
Oh, okay. All right.
And apparently, you guys will think this is funny. I did anyway.
Well.
He's not an actor anymore, I don't think. He is a megachurch pastor.
Tracks.
That's
He
what
has a
he
mega
does.
church pastor face. He may
He
be on the same track
does!
as Michael Jordan or Michael Jackson, not Jordan.
He does have a megachurch pastor
He
face.
has that. Yeah, we'll just leave it there.
Mhm.
So to go sidetrack anymore.
Yep. And then just getting through the stats here, the music was done by Ira Newborn,
Mm.
which I had not heard that name before, but apparently he collabs quite often with John Hughes. And so he did a lot of songs for movies like 16 Candles, Weird Science, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and then some very 90s movies, Mallrats and Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
I love Mallrats. And it's Church Protector.
Same.
I
Same.
really enjoyed the music. It really worked. This R&B blues infused thing he was doing, I really enjoyed it. Uncle Buck has this little tom drum thing that almost like you see that boom dum dum dum, and it just I don't know worked. It worked really well.
Yeah, it was the Wild Thing,
his,
wasn't it?
Thing. Yeah, it kind of
That
was
so
the Wild
Tone
Thing.
Loc,
Yeah.
Actually, there's some of the old songs. I mean, being someone who I kind of grew up really into hip hop, and there's quite a lot of songs in the movie. I'm like, that's a sample from this song. That's a sample from that. That's
You're
quite
right.
sort of, but in 89, that was pretty sort of on. He's pretty on track with some decent stuff. I was thinking that while I was watching it today. I was like, oh, I recognise a lot of these songs that have now been sampled.
Yeah,
And then the
soundtrack.
the Tone Loc thing was. Fun.
Yeah. Yep. $15 million to make this movie, and it grossed nearly $80 million worldwide.
1989 for a comedy. That's really good.
Not bad.
Mhm.
Yeah.
In the summertime too. Think about that,
August.
'cause it came out in August.
Yeah.
So usually, I mean, we're it's summertime, American cinemas. I mean, the world now, but it's tentpole season, especially in the 80s.
Yeah, I was trying to
Right,
remember.
we're setting up, we're sending out, whatever the new Schwarzenegger, whatever movie's supposed to be coming out that time frame before the superhero takeover we've had.
Yeah, I was trying to.
So for it to go to $80 million,
Yeah, I was trying to remember if I can't even remember that hitting cinemas here personally, but I'm going back a long way, so I don't know if it was
I can understand
if it was straight
why.
to video here is what I'm thinking it might have been.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
Yeah.
if it sometimes I talk about this with Scott where I live in a quite small town. I don't live in London. We don't all live, we're not all.
I'm
London.
aware of this.
There
No,
are-
I know, but
he's got 12 people and 37 sheep in his town. It's really tiny.
It's not far from the truth, but sometimes I'm like, yeah, certain things don't make it to my neck of the woods. So, and I can't really remember if that hit theaters here.
Plus,
When
it
I
makes
say
sense. I mean,
here-
what a suburban movie about, Chicago family
Yeah.
drama. Really land in England. Like, what a movie from your neck.
Yeah,
of
I'm
the
sure
woods
maybe
drama hit us,
maybe in the cities it was maybe on for a week or two, but I don't remember it.
I grew up in a small town too, in Nebraska. So like
Wow.
middle of the country. So by the time things got to me, it was years.
A decade had
later.
passed.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, you can relate then.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, sometimes I mention things and people are like, "What? Really? It didn't?" And I'm like, "Yeah, maybe in London, but we're not all from London."
That's like when I say I'm from New York, everyone assumes city.
So, hey,
Right.
They just assume I'm
Manhattan,
dropping
yeah.
city and just I'm from New York. City, what about? There's more than
Yeah,
just
not
New York
the same.
City.
It's not the same thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, I was trying to think. I couldn't remember if that hit theaters here. But yeah, that's still not bad. 80 mil.
1989, like I said, in the summertime.
Yeah.
And it's a family comedy.
Well, you
right?
know, you
like
go-
the PG movies. Usually,
So you go with inflation. That's probably a few hundred million, probably. I guess.
I mean, in American inflation right now, it's like $3 billion. I think they would have made.
Couple of
Eggs
what's
are
the
$19.
eggs? Yeah.
All
I was
right, I'm
like,
just
a couple
saying,
of
if
dozen
eggs are
eggs.
25 cents, this movie
I've only been hearing about this today. I've only
this
been hearing
movie
about the
made
egg
$2
thing.
billion in today's
I've only
time.
been hearing about the egg thing today. I don't really know what the deal
Oh,
is there.
fuck. Don't worry. Just be glad you're in England.
Are
Be
you
glad
being
that-
serious, Steve?
Be glad you cut, because they have better news than us. He's
I,
glad they're glad.
I don't know what
You
the
have
egg thing
actual
is. I actually only heard about it today, so I don't
It's like
really
a
know.
joke at this point. Oh, price of eggs.
Basically, the smart people with the red hats voted for the hot dog skinned guy because she was going to bring down the brazier eggs, and they've actually gone through the roof in this 3 weeks. So
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
racism is costly.
It
and
is.
America's finding that out the hard way.
Oh, man,
You know what
I
else
opened up
you
a
guys-
can of eggs here.
Eggs in a can might be a smart thing if you got that. Send it over.
You can just buy just egg. Or tofu. You don't need eggs.
You don't.
Anyway. I always notice the fashion because I already brought up Laurie Metcalf's
Mhm.
outfits. Did you notice Uncle Buck's? This is the first time I've really noticed it. His rings.
Yes. He had like
On-
the big old class rings and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And like
I
a
did.
horseshoe.
Yes.
'Cause
The
he's a
old
degenerate.
Elvis horseshoe.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. A couple of
There's just so much the attention to detail that they have on these films, especially, even whether he's the writer or director. It's, I don't know, you just don't realize it until you go back and watch it again.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I think it's what
Little-
informs, now that Steve and I are on the Bruce Willis STD journey, you
Mm.
can instantly find a movie that's just direct to video. No one gave a shit about it because it's missing all the accoutrements that come with a really great designed film. From the plate, the china plates, the way they have everything hanging over the sink, over the stoves, just every little thing, the way he dresses, the stuff they do, everything has a place and it means something. Like when Marcy comes over, or when she first comes to the door, the toys on the stairs going up.
Yes.
There's just this
It's
thing that
a
says
normal-
that one, mom and dad are gone. Uncle Buck is there and he's not exactly a clean freak. And so you could start to see the home flip into this decay of like just clutter. And that is really smart. Most, crappy shoots wouldn't even think about that. It would just be like this real clean, sterile environment. And they'd walk in and you'd be like, oh, this feels like a play at a high school. And
At high school.
it's just this, there's just,
No,
even
the
when she's
little
talking with them,
touches.
there's little crumbs on the
Mhm.
counter from him not cleaning up after breakfast. There's just these little touches that as you watch it more, you start to see the real craftsmanship and why these kind of movies last the test of time. And you just are like, they just feel like a warm blanket sometimes. Because it reminds me of like, when I watch it today, I felt like I was back in the 80s. Like I felt like my parents, like I was in my living room watching this on a VHS. Like it just felt like a Sunday morning in the 1980s. And this is what I was going to watch. And just, I don't know, they're just, man, it was a nice, what we're going through. It's a nice warm blanket to kind of forget about for
It
about 2
was.
hours. It
And
really was.
You're brought back to that, like Chicago suburbs, the house. Like, it's very comforting. It's like you're in this world now. You're in the John Hughes world, and it's
Yep.
As someone who's on a diet at the moment, they're
Yeah.
massive pancakes. They look good.
Oh my God.
I forgot that he uses the snow shovel. I forgot
Shovel.
he flips with the
Well,
snow
what was
shovel.
the griddle? What I couldn't. What
I don't know
what
what
did he use for the
I-
griddle part?
That's the one thing. Is like Blackstone thinks they've got it. The market made. Uncle Buck was first. God damn it! I don't know where he got this griddle. The griddle took up the island. I don't know.
It did.
I don't know what that was. Was that a car door
Amazing.
or something?
I didn't recall. I remember that scene that he
Yeah.
flips a pancake and with the shovel and the gag of that. But then I totally forgot that there was an entire giant stack
Yeah,
of
yeah.
pancakes on the table. That was awesome.
It's just so.
I
And
was just
like
oh man,
sausages for days,
Yeah.
on the
I
table.
mean, the amount of eggs.
The amount of
must use
eggs,
them
the
pancakes,
eggs.
guys.
Oh my God! In today's prices, that's 3 billion.
Sorry, guys.
eggs.
I didn't mean to upset you.
There's thousands of dollars in groceries right there. Oh my God! No,
I loved the tiny urinals.
I
at
was
the
going to say
school?
when he takes a knee. I forgot.
He's like,
And the
how am
funny
I going to
thing
do this?
is nowadays, if a grown man walked into a little kid's bathroom, what a fucking alarm bell would go up. But he's kind of like looks down, sees little feet dangling. He's like, I use the bathroom. He doesn't know where to put his cigar. It's just,
Was that urinal thing really an issue though? Couldn't he just?
he's in an elementary school, so they're
No,
all.
but you could just.
He's a
aim.
big guy. What is he? 6'4", 350? Like
It would spray all
here's
over,
the
I
thing.
guess.
It
Yeah,
was
I
just a
don't know.
great gag, right?
It was
It's
a good
Yeah,
gag
no,
to
I get the
have for
gag. I
meal.
was just a bit like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, can't you just
Aim.
go, aim,
True.
use the sink like a real man?
Yeah, take a shit in the sink like a normal person would. Come on.
Jesus, what is this?
Do schools have tiny unit? I've never been in a boys.
Yes, if
Do
you're
schools have little tiny
yeah,
urinals?
especially like when they have kindergarten, like they do have lower because they can't. You're gonna clean pee off the floor.
I didn't
little
even
boys
know
start
if they had
making higher
urinals,
urinals.
or if they the stall, like the toilet stall. You know,
So some of the schools around where I'm at, they had
That's
like,
what
a
you
little
use for the
bathroom
griddle.
inside. Is the bathroom inside the classroom, but they have little tiny toilets.
oh,
So it's
okay.
still at their height because again,
Mhm.
you're gonna be cleaning pee for days or poop. I mean, it's just these kids can't get an inch up under the seat. You're in trouble. You're gonna
Yeah.
have a lot of janitors coming in every 5 minutes. Johnny,
That was-
just use a urinal again. Looks like Niagara Falls broke in there.
Aw.
Speaking of that, I love when they're on the phone or he's talking to us. They ask a few questions. How's your plumbing there? Do you have a blunt shirt? She's just like, oh God.
I also
It's like,
Before
I
she's
got-
even
I-
left.
he's
I think
like
that's
a lot of
before they've even
cheese.
left. I
Yeah.
think he says that before they've even left.
It's like I eat a
You're
lot
right.
of cheese. I don't know. Is that an allergy? Is that
I
an
forgot
allergy?
about that. Oh my God, I can't believe I have
Oh.
to leave my children with you.
Oh, that's what the blue water's for. With
Oh my God,
With
Even
the
the-
dog.
And she's
oh
crying.
My
I'm
God.
so glad you're there with them.
Oh, that
leaving
I
the
was
toilet
like,
seat
how am I-
up with the dog.
I love the fact that how they decide to to do the whole interchange where he asks, how many times you feed a dog, and she could have just said it. But the best part is when she goes, "How many times do you think you're supposed to feed a dog?" I just love it's just a great way of how you just change your dialogue to
Mhm.
add for the comedy, right?
Right.
Because we know that when he asks it, we already know he's overfeeding the dog. We all know that's what it's leading to. But her then having him tell her how much he thinks he should feed the dog is where we get the fun. It's like
5,
4
6 times a day?
Just one. Oh, that'll explain it. And it's like the pee in the lawn, just
Which
goes to
is
the blue
funny.
water. It's so good.
It's also a time because I have a feeling, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I think most people feed their dogs twice a day at least now.
I think
but in
they
the
say that you're
80s
supposed to feed your dog when you eat. I think that, like some experts say, like, so if your dog's on a schedule and you sit down to eat, the dog eats. That's why there's no begging at the table. When you're done, then the dog learns that, okay, now they're done kind of thing. So you, the 2 times would be right, breakfast, dinner, and then, people could stay home, I guess, 3 times.
But that in the 80s, I feel like it was really normal. You fed your dog once a day. You just put food in the bowl and I think that was the dog was cute. Also with him sleeping with the kids and from the bed to the floor, everybody, including the dog, ends up like on him. Cute stuff.
He's a great uncle. Like, he may not know anything about kids, but like he is really, his streetwise is really kind of what these kids need. Like he's, look, he's doing the great thing where he's making Macaulay Culkin wash the dishes and, just put hair in your chest kind of thing, that kind of mentality. But at the end of the day, he really is building. He's more involved with them than their own parents have been.
Oh, 100%.
And I think that's what really ends up, and eventually what finally brings Tia around, because she's just angry that they left Indianapolis. She's just pissed that at her age, she has to start over. But yet she's also learned how to she's also learned how to take care of her brothers and sisters, which it's funny. It almost feels like Tia was the oops child. The other two were the ones they planned. Like, it was like, Tia, that's just made it out of high school.
She's why they got married. She's why they got
exactly.
married.
It's kind of, the other two were like, hey, let's have kids.
Yeah. That's a really good point.
Because she's like, what, a junior in high school, whatever it is? And these kids are like
15,
kindergarten or first grade. You're like, oh, boy.
Several years later. He is good with them. I noticed that too, because I related to Buck because I'm kind of the crazy aunt like Buck. Oh, I'm hungover today, but I made it to your game or whatever.
Go play with some scissors. Go run around.
But I wouldn't be as good as Buck. Like, he's so good at relating to them because he's kind of a big kid himself, I suppose. But
exactly.
I'm the same. I think I'm a bit like that.
Yeah. And John Candy's great at
I'm a bit like, look, I get shit done, I may not do it
may not do with pants on, but it gets done, goddammit.
Hey, no, but I get stuff.
Excuse me, sir, do you have to mow your lawn without pants? Listen. All right, I'm sweating.
There's balls out here.
My balls are sweating. No idea, lady. I mean, my nuts. Sorry, what did I try you?
Crap.
No, I think John Candy, I don't know, he just feels like that every man that you would. Look, we're supposed to believe he's inept to be able to watch these kids, but he's the perfect person. He's the perfect person to raise. He's like the original, what's the one with Robin Williams where he pretends to be the nanny? Why am I blanking? Miss Doubtfire. He's like the Mr. Doubtfire. It's like, hey, I'm just going to do this. I don't know if this is the right way to do it, but we're going to do it. And he's making them breakfast. For this kid's birthday, they don't even know when his birthday is, what he wants. I guess getting them sticks. Not like, Jesus Christ, that boy out of your ass. He's making more pancakes than anyone in the neighborhood could eat. And you're just kind of like, man, what a fucking awesome uncle.
I did kind of like the drying the clothes in the microwave.
Fancy. Because as the girl goes,
he can't figure out
open the goddamn dryer. Bless him. Here's a quarter. Why don't you go down to the corner still get a rat and all that thing off your face?
Oh, buck melanoma.
No, because I forgot about that. Yeah.
No, 'cause when I said that to you, I was like, that is from that, right?
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't, you'd have been like, what the hell is he talking about?
It took
I
me
have
a while.
no proof, but I feel like the mole thing from this movie is what led to the joke of the mole on Fred Savage's face in the Austin Powers movies, where he just can't stop saying mole. I feel like this was the genesis from it. Like, I just really do, because one of the most memorable scenes is him flipping that quarter to her and telling her to get it gnawed off her face. Yeah. I just feel like that was the genesis of that joke.
That's like the thing in the Steve Martin movie Roxanne as well, where they're like, don't look at his nose, and then you can't not look at his nose, sort of thing. That's the same sort of that sort of joke. But yeah, when I said that to you, because I hadn't seen the movie for like over 20 years, that was the first thing I thought of when you said Uncle Buck was Buck melanoma. I
had completely forgotten about it.
Yeah, but that's a great scene though as well, talking about what a great uncle he is and what a sort of good provider he really is, and his his character. It says a lot about his character when he stands up to the teacher and gives his little speech about her being a dreamer and all that.
And then what he
he's like,
does
she's
for
6.
Tia's boyfriend.
Well, yeah, but when he says like she's 6,
Yeah.
Of course she's a dreamer. Of course she's a chatty little girl. She's 6.
I know.
So
There's that type of scene in a lot of this kind of a movie, like the unprepared child carer has to come in and then they stand up to some, with
authority
a shitty teacher.
figure,
Yeah. But yeah, he got called in about a 6-year-old not taking her school career seriously. He's like, she's 6.
Yeah.
I love it.
Like he tells a little kid, I'll go in there and soften her up for you.
And you can hear everything.
Yeah, he's just sat there.
And Scott, you were going to bring up what he does to Tia's boyfriend. I mean, now, granted, that would probably land him in jail, right? Like
maybe, but you know what? What parent is going to disagree with that, right? What a dick. What a douche. He kind of taught him a lesson kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
He knew, look, it's funny, when we're in that age group, right? When we are teenagers, we know exactly how we're thinking. Then when we get older, that's like when we become protective. Look, I know what the wolf is like. I was the wolf. I know how to watch out for this. You know what I mean? You need to watch out who this kind of person is. And, Tia's always going to fight it because she is pissed off. And rightfully so. I get it. Especially for girls. You go through a lot in that 10-year period of like anywhere from 12 to 25, or 13-year period, I should say. It's a tough go. It's, you start to go to battle with each other over boys and who looks good. And you have so much more pressure put on you in those ages as you're developing, not only physically, but mentally. Like most boys just like, just let's throw rocks at each other.
Dick jokes.
Dick jokes and throw rocks at each other.
Yeah,
Like we haven't matured. Look at Steve and I, we're 50. So
we're still doing it now.
We're still doing it now. So to then have to move across country and also be responsible to, not really across country, it's only a couple hours away, but to then be responsible for your brothers and sisters. But also, I think listeners should remember, no cell phones, no internet. Phone is all you knew each other. And once you moved out of town, you were pretty much forgotten about because someone else new came around. Like you weren't calling long distance to talk for hours in the 80s. You out of your mind how long that much that cost? So for her to have to go through all this and then feel this disconnect that her parents have kind of not only forgot about her, but are now forgetting about the brothers and sister, and so Tia's obviously going to push, but Buck steps up for her because he's a good guy. He's the funny thing about the whole movie is we open up with him. I'm not ready to be a father. I like my own life. I don't think I'd be good with kids. And he completely proves that, no, you are the one person in the movie who probably should have kids because you actually have a pretty good rapport with them and also a good idea what it is to bring them up and be there for them. And I think that's what makes the movie so endearing.
Yeah, and I like that moment.
Up for her. It's great.
I like that little moment when he was on his own with the dog and he's smoking a cigar and he's sort of talking about what people used to say about him having the freedom and being a fun guy and all this, and now they don't say it anymore. And sort of like he's something a bit touching to that.
He's realizing.
I mean, how old is the oldest daughter supposed to be in it, by the
15.
way?
15. And he's 40, I think he says. He just turned 40.
So I think obviously she's in that, every kid that age is in that thing, especially having two brother and sister are a lot younger. Is on one hand, you're supposed to be looking after them, but then your parents are treating you like a kid as well. So she's got that angst, that teenage angst thing going on. And so I think Buck he knows. He pretty much reads the signals.
He does.
He knows what's going on. Straight away.
And you can get pregnant on your parents' time, but when I'm here, or something to that effect. And he's like, I don't care what you think. I'm responsible.
He's going to be honest.
You.
He's giving it to her straight. Yeah. Like when he says about bowling, so it's been proven it's very unlikely to get pregnant at a bowling alley.
Yeah, or something like that. And then his girlfriend has been wanting to get married and have kids this whole time. And then finally by the end, he's like, why didn't we do this earlier? And she's like, oh my God, I'm going to murder you.
Yeah. I think it just took him to realize that I think he was afraid. I think there's a part of it that, you can read into as you get older. He knows he loves his freedom, but he knows he hasn't amounted to much. Although I will say this, that apartment across from Wrigley Field, he's making some good money. Like nowadays, that's an expensive piece of property to have in the Chicago area to be across from Wrigley Field. He could have, if he owned that, he's making millions of dollars if he sold that. But anyway, so I think he realizes that he hasn't grown up to be much. And he's afraid that if he has kids, they're going to grow up to be nothing because of him. So I think there's this real, he bullshits that I don't need to, I like my freedom. I like to be able to just put my golf clubs in the car and go play golf or bowl or whatever. At the end of the day, it's a fear that he realizes he hasn't amounted to much. And he doesn't want to bring kids into the equation and let them down and then them not amount to much. But then he realizes that actually he's the most suited person for it. Because yeah, his brother's doing better than him. But his brother doesn't even know when his fucking kid's hockey's over with or what to get him for his birthday. Meanwhile, he's making pancakes the size of fucking Buicks and knocking out drunk clowns, which I fucking love.
Yeah, and protecting protecting Tia from that shitty bug.
Yep.
You had mentioned something about before cell phones. And I love all of the times that he really wants to go to the racetrack, and he's always out kind of trying to protect Tia, and he has to bring the little kids, and it's hilarious. Their conversations.
They're great. Yes. They're little adults themselves. They're just little adults in car seats.
They are. That's why it's funny. But Buck, they're driving around looking for Tia. How did he know where this party in the woods was? He just comes upon it.
Because Buck's been to that party in the woods.
I guess.
This isn't Buck's first time. He knows where people are partying. You know, where dad is probably more straight-laced. Buck is definitely, he smokes, he drinks. Like, Buck has had his time. He knows, he's been a fun guy. He even said that.
Doesn't he ask some people?
He might. I forget. Yeah.
That was at the party. There was a house party, which was even funnier. He's like, got his cigar, and then he gets somewhere along the line, he gets a beer.
Right.
He's like,
yeah.
You guys know Tia? You guys know Buck? He's like drinking with him, and they're like, what the fuck's going on here? Yeah.
Oh, God, I love Buck. God, I love Buck so much. I forgot how much I really like this movie.
He's a great, yeah. Well,
and the clown.
Oh, go ahead with the clown.
The clown. Mike Starr, who plays the clown, he's in Goodfellas. Yeah. He's in a ton of stuff. Because I actually had to look him up because obviously I could recognize
the voice was familiar. You're like, wait a minute, I think I know this voice.
Yeah, I was like, I know that guy, so I had to look that up. But
his mouth is, I could kind of tell from his mouth.
He's one of those character actors. He's been in Dumb and Dumber. He's in loads of stuff, isn't he? But sorry, that was just.
But my favorite part is it's just this direction. Is he gets punched and he goes back out of frame, but comes back into frame to get punched.
And get punched again.
It made me laugh. I forgot how much fun. I forgot the clown until he shows up in the mouse car. I remember what was about to happen. And I laughed like I did back in 1989 where I thought it was hilarious. He's just punches him and he goes backwards and the comes right back, almost like a weeble wobble.
It was like a clown.
Yeah,
inflatable.
Came right back forward.
There were a few shots like that.
A drunk clown, though,
Oh, classic. God, it was so good. It was so much fun.
They don't do that anymore. Like when he gets hit by the bowling ball, there's a few times where they do that. It's in like a style of the 80s.
Yeah.
In comedy that we don't really get anymore.
But a good one too. That it wasn't. Yeah. It didn't feel like old. It was just a nice trope that lands. It's a good comedy bit that lands as opposed to, the old, kicking the nuts, that's always funny. But, certain things like Pies in the Face aren't funny unless they're in the context like older films. Like you can watch the Three Stooges do it and it's hilarious because it's of a time and you just love it. But, if I was watching Adam Sandler hit Rob Schneider in the face of the pie, I'd be like, what the fuck are we doing? This is 2025. You know what I mean? It's just, but this Uncle Buck thing, this punch in the face, go back and come back, it works. It would work now in a movie if we saw that. Yeah. You'd laugh your ass off because it's just really good comedic timing. And oh God, John Hughes, and he's dead too. God damn, we lost both Johns.
Yeah. They are.
Yeah, that's why America's gone to shit.
Yeah, we need John Hughes and John Candy back. You're the only parent, Scott. What parenting? Like, if this movie were made now, what are like some parenting trends that Uncle Buck would butt up against today, do you think?
Jeez. I mean, it's funny. Him attacking the teacher is very reminiscent of what things happen today, but he had a very good reason for it, right? Like she was being overly dramatic with that principal about a 6-year-old. Nowadays, kids aren't responsible for anything. And so now it's like the parent will ask you, what did you do? What did I do to cause your student to try to stab someone with scissors? I don't know. you're a psycho. I don't know what you want the answer to be. So it would be different. Would the kids would they do anything fun if this movie was made today? They'll be on their iPhones or playing video games, right? Like Uncle Buck would probably be getting into trouble. He's probably doing drugs in the bathroom.
It would be it would probably be like the reverse.
He'd be
role.
at the race.
Yeah.
He'd go to the racehorse. He'd be like, look, kids, here's some TV, here's some games. Good luck. I'm going to be going to play the horses. It would be a different movie today. I don't think it would work. I mean, I'm sure we could move it, but would it have the heart? Would it have the story that we need for today? You know, would we get the message at all? Because everyone's all the time. Like it literally is a screen epidemic that is ruining kids. Like it's this generation coming up. I try to warn my students. I know I'm so old man shakes fist the sky. But with AI and robotics that are advancing at lightning speed, if students don't have skills, they are going to live with their parents for forever. And that's really the truth. They have no skills. A lot of things are going away. I would call fallback jobs, right? Working at Walmart or working at a grocery store, anything that has like a register nowadays is being replaced already by either self-checkout or going to be replaced over here in America, at least. McDonald's in California is already testing out robots with AI. So you'll need 3 people to work there. The manager to make sure no one robs the joint. And then some guy who can fix robots and maybe a programmer. And that's it. So if you don't like school and you quit, what are you going to do? And kids these days don't want to do hard labor. So they're not going to join somebody's plumbing or, they're not going to go do the old blue collar work because they don't actually want to do labor work. So this film would be different. It'd be a lot different. It'd be like Uncle Robot Buck or something like that. You know what I mean?
Well, that or like trying to get Insta famous or, whatever.
Yeah. And,
TikTok
probably
Tia's
probably trying to do that. And then we get some boyfriend who's trying to get her an OnlyFans or something like that. You could probably move it that way. You probably could, but yeah, I mean, even with Buck, would we allow, he wouldn't just be able to walk into a school. It would be a different type of film. And I just don't think it would still have the same heart and comedic timing that Uncle Buck in 1989 did, because it's one of those last few generations where you're a latchkey kid, where you going outside is something you do. Going places like Chuck E. Cheese, or I don't know if they have the equivalent over in the UK, but going places with your, like bowling with your family was something you did. Like it was a thing we always did. Like you go out and you want to do things. Being stuck in the house wasn't, if you're stuck in the house, you played a few video games, but you watch movies and you play with your toys and your friends, and that's not the thing kids want to do. They just want to go home and play video games, and they just want to stay on the screens. And so the fun that we get from the film of them going places, even kids don't, which I guess is probably a good thing, they don't sneak out to try to drink much anymore. Like it's just, everyone just stays home. You know what I mean? Everyone's social without being social. They're on social media, but they're not actually interacting with one another. And so it would be a different kind of movie. Like Uncle Buck wouldn't have to go far. He uses find a phone.
You would, because
they'd find her in a minute. She would be able to sneak out anywhere.
Hilarious.
Yeah,
you wouldn't have to drive around in that car to try and find her in the woods.
And mall generation's gone away. Right? I think we were the last generation, at least in America. I know it's a more of an American thing. We're the last of the mall generation, really. Maybe millennials, maybe some. Probably some millennials, but after that, there's the mall culture is going away. Everyone shops on Amazon. I mean, the malls are starting to disappear. So
I didn't even have mall culture growing up. I mean, I didn't live in a city that had like a mall. Like that was
Nebraska
the thing I
can't
did.
spell mall, so Steve. They have corn and that corn and Jesus. I'm just kidding.
I loved watching movies, but I didn't like hang out at the mall.
Yeah,
because I just didn't live in a big enough city to have like a cool mall like that. But yeah,
but even malls. That's gone away. You know what I mean? Like the culture that we see in the film of students and the teenagers and even the young kids, it's almost like we're on Mars now on the opposite side. Like kids these days don't have any idea what that is like. So it would be you know what? If someone could make a new Uncle Buck and make it as good and relatable as today, they should win the Academy Award, because that is a stretch, right?
Right.
Like some parents going to flip out about, you're trying to make my kid fat with all these pancakes. Like someone's going to have an issue with something like that. Like, depending where it's shot, that lady walks in, maybe there's a homeowner with a gun, she gets shot. She walks in, Uncle Buck's got an AR-15.
The neighbor, he's smoking everywhere. I noticed that. Yeah,
he would be vaping now. Yeah. That's what it'd be. He'd be a big vapor.
I love, speaking of the smoking thing, he's like, Oh, I used to smoke cigarettes. I'm on a 5-year something. I used to smoke
Brilliant.
cigarettes, and now I smoke cigars. And then after this, it's going to be a pipe, and then it's going to be
Chewing
the
tobacco.
gum, and
Then the gum.
Chewing
yeah.
tobacco and the gum, yeah. I'm on
Yeah.
a 5-year plan, yeah.
Yeah.
He just keeps going down from like the worst thing to yeah.
She's just looking at him like horrified.
I think she's also like, you have a 5-year plan, but it's about smoking. What's your 5-year financial plan?
There was not a ton of trivia that I found about this movie, but the exterior of the house was an actual house, but the inside was like all of the sets were built in a school gym, including
Really?
their home. Like
Wow.
their home was a set built in a school gymnasium.
That is such good lighting. I
Mhm.
know this sounds kind of put on my beret and smoke a cigar, but because you know you can when you see a set on a TV show, you know they're on a stage. Like you can just feel even no matter what the
Mhm.
lighting is, you just know. But for this, if you had told me that if I would have guessed 100% that
There's a
was in
house.
someone's home and they just
Mhm.
you know they rented it out for whatever amount of time they needed to shoot, I would
Mhm.
not have said that was a set. That's
Set.
really
Mhm.
well lit. They did a great job of making that feel like that was in the suburbs of Chicago. I would have
Yeah, it looks like a
100% guaranteed.
Looks
that
like
that
you're
was home.
inside. You get that feel that
Mhm.
you're in someone's
I
home.
thought so too.
Yeah.
So there's some lost in translation. You know how they rename movies for other countries?
Mhm.
Right.
Alternative title, Alone with Our Uncle.
Ooh.
I don't
That
like
sounds
that.
pretty sinister.
Yeah, it
How
does.
did
I
yeah,
like
that's,
that.
that's nowadays it's a horror movie.
Yeah,
In 1989,
it is.
no big deal.
I don't know what countries, but I think that got lost in translation. Back the reverse.
Alone with our uncle. Just couldn't just say Buck or just uncle. That's weird. Alone with
Alone with our uncle. I missed it, I think, but I guess there's the freeze frame of John Candy in the ending scene is also used in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah. I remember.
I'm gonna
I
have
didn't know
to.
that.
I'm gonna have to take note of that when I watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Now,
Yeah.
did Winona Ryder ever be in any one of John Hughes movies, or does he have a thing with her? Because this could just be pure coincidence. But I noticed the elementary school's name was Winona.
I
And I
noticed
thought
that
that way. I was
too.
like, that's got to be something like Winona. Like that's like a very specific name, right?
Scott, that is
Felt it.
hilarious
Felt
that you
it.
brought that up.
I just thought that today.
because Winona Ryder was the first choice for the role of Tia.
Oh, look at that. Huh? Every now and again, the old man brings something up.
Mhm. He had seen
I didn't
her.
even notice that. I didn't
Jo-
even
John
see
had
that.
seen her in Beetlejuice the year before,
Oh,
but she was working on Heathers, so she was unavailable for
okay.
this.
I think she did the right thing.
yeah, and I think the girl who played Tia was great. I think she, that may be the only role she was really known for, that we all
Mhm.
remember. I thought
Mhm.
she was really good as this bratty
I did too.
hugging. Holy
I
cow.
wish she was horrible till the last 5 minutes. So
Yeah, but that's a good role, right? It's like good
Yeah,
Ratchet,
yeah,
where
no.
you're like, fuck this bitch. I hope they throw her out the window. And then you're like,
Mhm.
man, that's a really good acting job. If I
Yeah,
have a
evil-
visceral feeling about an actress, I want her dead on set. You're like, you're doing a great job, ma'am.
His other muses were also considered, I guess, for that role. Ali Sheedy and Molly Ringwald.
Oh, makes sense.
But yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Makes sense.
Could have seen that.
Yeah.
Rick Moranis turned down the role of the dad.
You know what? He would have been underused in that,
Not
right?
much of a role, is it?
Yeah.
Right.
That makes sense. That's just, yeah. You need someone because you want everyone to remember John Candy. Who cares about the dad, right? Because John
Good
Candy,
point.
you don't be like, oh, wait, was Rick Moranis going to pop back in here at any time? Or, like, what if Bill Murray was the dad? You're like, is Bill showing up any moment? Because we can have a little comedy here.
However, Steve Martin was also considered for the dad.
For the Jesus
For the dad,
Christ,
not
what a
Buck.
waste.
For the dad, I know. But
I guess they'd have got done more with it if.
right, you're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
Yeah.
You know what? There could have been a fun tongue-in-cheek moment about Planes, Trains, and Automobiles if he was the father there for
That-
the walk-on role. That
Yeah,
could have been
you're
fun.
right. You're right.
That could have been fun.
Literally every actor under the sun, it seems, was thrown around for the role of Buck. Like literally, like Bill Murray, Jim Belushi, Dudley Moore, Danny DeVito, Dan Aykroyd, George Wendt, Michael Keaton, Ed O'Neill, Robin Williams, Jack Nicholson, Joe Pesci, Tom Hanks, Kurt Russell, and I took note of
Kurt
this.
Russell.
Kurt Russell
would've been-
and Martin Short were considered, and which is weird. They were in Captain Ron together. But
Joe Pesci, a short Italian, like, hey. Just,
Let's go to the racetrack.
hey,
Okay.
listen, you ever see a fucking hatchet? Huh? You little piece of shit. That'd have been great. Joe Pesci's the best option because it's the difference, right? John Candy's 6'4", 350. Joe Pesci's 2'2", 212 pounds. You know,
DeVito too. Like he was one
And,
that was considered.
did you say Dudley Moore?
Dudley Moore?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
Kurt Russell seems out of place. How does Kurt
I
Russell
agree.
as
He's-
Snake Plissken becomes?
He's too
Mr.
handsome.
Mr. Reliable.
He
Though,
is
and
Mr.
could have-
Reliable.
It'd have just done it, wouldn't he? It'd have been great. Yeah, I can't see it, but
But I can see him as, like the Jack Burton irresponsible, fun uncle
good
kind
point.
of
Yeah.
True.
something like that. But there was one actor that they were pretty seriously considering, and he's very similar. I'm curious if you guys can guess it. They were going to actually, John was considered for another one of this actor's roles, but died before he could do it. So the role I'm referring to is from
Is it Dom
1994.
DeLuise?
No.
Oh. Is it Louis? Who's the other heavyweight guy named Louis? What's his last name? He just recently passed away. Well, it's clearly not because you would have already told me. That's him.
It's not him. It's not him, but he was in
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Coming to America.
Yes,
Louis
yes.
Anderson
Louis
is
Anderson.
who you're thinking.
Louis Anderson.
It's not him, but it is a heavyweight guy.
It's not Dom DeLuise. So it's the
He
other
was in the
heavyweight
number
guy.
2 TV show from 1989.
To what? Cosby. To
Oh, John Goodman.
John Goodman.
No?
Oh,
Mhm.
okay. Yeah, because he was
Yeah.
heavy set that time. You know, he
Yeah.
might have been. He
Yeah,
probably
he's
would have done a
good.
very
He's
good job.
Another
but
reliable guy. That
I don't think any of the people we've named, outside of maybe some funny things that could have
Right.
changed, I don't think anyone's better than John Candy. And
Mhm.
I just think that was the right role. I think John Candy was
Oh,
the right
100%.
perfect person. for it.
100%. There were TV shows. There was actually
I did see
two
this.
TV shows. Did you guys know that?
I only knew because I was looking it up today. I was like, holy shit, they made an Uncle Buck TV show? Like, holy cow.
Two of them. One of them in 1990 that was on CBS, and it starred Kevin Meaney as Buck, a slob who drinks and smokes. I don't even think I know who Kevin Meaney is. But then there was a more recent one with like famous people in it, a 2016 version on ABC. It was an adaptation with a black cast with Mike Epps playing Uncle Buck.
Oh, Mike.
James
Again, I
Leisure
still
and
think
Nia
you need
Long.
someone heavy, right? I still just, you need
Mike Epps.
You need
he's
someone,
kinda got a
like
similar-
someone with some stature, a little bit of.
Mhm.
You need to have some weight to them. I think that's what sells the Uncle Buck whole personality, right? Like
Yeah.
it just, he's not taking care of himself too much, but it just, I don't know, that the heavier set, funny uncle, I think that works a little bit better. Not that Mike Epps isn't a funny guy, but I just don't see Mike Epps as, you know what I mean? Like,
Neither of these were successful, and James Leisure and Nia Long, like all three of those are like very well-known black actors, but neither
Mhm.
one of those were successful.
this is, not against, I think I have no problem with that option, but it's a different, we talk about, because Tarantino wanted to redo his last movie being Reservoir Dogs with an all-black cast, which changes the entire thread line of what Reservoir Dogs would be, right? Because you're now telling it from a completely different set of circumstances. The
Mhm.
way that I know I'm trying to side tangent, but when we're shooting at cops, white people shooting at cops is different than if we have waited till Joe showed. Like, there's things that
Mhm.
now change the tone of the film when you change the race. So, but does Uncle Buck land the same? Because it's a different experience in the suburbs for black people in America. It's not the
Good
same.
point. Mhm.
So maybe when you're selling Uncle Buck, one, does a black audience care about the movie Uncle Buck? It's not a story that probably really reaches out to them because it's all white. Is there any black people in Uncle Buck? I
No,
can't
there's-
remember. Maybe in the bowling alley? I
No,
don't think
there's
there
no
was.
black people in hardly, like most of this is actually a criticism.
Oh, is it?
There's just not necessarily Uncle Buck, but now that I'm thinking through
John
John
Hughes films.
Hughes
John
movies,
Hughes.
there's no black people in any of
Wow,
them.
yeah.
I mean,
So the 80s, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now you think, okay, so now we got Uncle Buck. So one, is the story going to land with a black audience? Because now it's what you're selling it to. And is a white audience going to want to watch a story that they know, but it's completely different? Like now it's foreign to them as well.
Mhm.
Not that they can't coincide,
right.
but you're expecting Uncle Buck. You're expecting John Candy. And then nothing against Mike Epps. Those are big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
Right? Those are just big shoes to fill.
The story isn't super unique. There have been several.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But the
I'd be
name, they go,
nostalgic.
we're alone with our uncle, and they turn into a horror movie, Uncle Buck. And now,
But yeah,
you're
you'd be making it as that'd be a nostalgic trip for the
Yeah.
adults, really, more than it would be aimed at
Yeah.
kids at that time.
I mean, we're going to have to start wrapping things up, you guys. I can't thank you enough for
Thank you for
this.
letting us
Thanks
come
for
on again
having
and
us.
derailing your show.
No,
Yeah,
I
that's what we do.
love it. What you guys have closing thoughts on Uncle Buck?
I'll let my esteemed gentleman from the UK go first.
Yeah, I mean, it's a classic slice of 80s nostalgia. It's happy people with happy problems. So it's that comforting kind of movie.
What's
There's
a good way
nothing
of putting
too
it?
nothing too edgy, nothing overly raunchy about it. It's a family movie. It's a family comedy, which I'm not sure they even make now. Really.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Can't think
You know,
of
and
it.
I think you genuinely could sit together as a family and watch this, and the adults aren't chewing their nails thinking, oh, here comes that scene. Or,
Yep.
I mean, even the washing machine scene would just
Mhm.
go over people's, it doesn't matter. It's irreverent. It's not like everyone's going to suddenly be like, the movies. We've all sat there with our parents and watched a movie, and suddenly there's nudity or there's
Yeah,
something,
it's
and everyone
uncomfortable,
feels
yeah.
completely
Yeah.
awkward. I mean, even in like Ghostbusters, there's a scene where a ghost is giving Dan Aykroyd a blowjob. Do you know what I mean? So that you can, there are movies where
That's the
there
80s,
are-
though, baby.
no, but there are movies where there's that awkwardness, and but I
Mhm.
think this is one of those movies where there's something for everyone.
Like Fatal
There
Attraction.
is.
Yeah,
So, you're sitting down with your parents.
hey, yeah,
Cooking up some
exactly. But,
rabbits.
It's a police procedural.
but there's something for everyone in there. You got the little kids, you got the teenager, and you got the adults, and then you got the uncles and aunties. Like,
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm like, I'm
something,
Buck.
something for us too. I am.
Real
so,
quickly,
yeah.
though, Steve, to your point about one of the things I had kind of forgotten until you were talking about, there's stuff for the adults. The sequence where he's talking with his girlfriend on the phone, I think, and they have names for her private
Yes.
parts.
Right.
And he's, no, that's what we called your boobs. And then he's like, Felix.
And then we jump to the cat outside. Brilliant. It's the little red Corvette. That's what it is.
Mhm.
It's how you make an innuendo without hitting people over the head with a hammer. and
Yeah,
being
that's it,
perverse
yeah.
and disgusting. You can have these fun moments that everyone's going to laugh at, but you don't have to just be like, we're going to say the P word. You just cut to who let the cat out? We don't have a cat. Cat, get out of here. It's just a great joke.
It is.
Yeah, so that's the thing about it. There is something for everyone, and it's not uncomfortable for anyone, and it's just a fun time, and that's why it stood the test of time, probably, because I don't think I've ever met anyone who hasn't seen it and doesn't like it. It's not.
Good point.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that we all sort of. And it's not necessarily nostalgic, because I bet you there's kids who could watch it today and enjoy it.
Mhm.
But, so yeah, for me, that's just a solid bit of family entertainment, and that's very rare these days. That's no wonder we look back.
Mm-hmm.
Well said, sir. Said indeed.
Anything to add, Scott? Or where should we find you guys?
Being a child of the 80s, this is just such a great movie. As I said earlier, John Candy, he's brilliant. The beginning of Macaulay Culkin as a little kid. I know Steve doesn't like him, but he hates kids anyways. But it's like when Steve and I talk about action movies, right? Like you want your movies to kind of move quick. This movie does exactly what it's supposed to. We get to tell a story. We go on a journey, but the jokes keep coming, and it doesn't feel like you're just like, when is this thing going to fucking end? Like, it just keeps moving from a beat to a beat. Funny stuff, innuendos, things here, things there. By the time you're done, you're like, oh my God, that was a lot of fun. You forget how good this kind of movie is. And you start to realize, of all the blueprints we've taken in Hollywood, where all we do is now superhero movies out the ass, why aren't we looking back at movies like this and not remaking them, but taking their beats and their structure and go, now we can this is how you're supposed to this is how the sausage should be made for comedies, for family comedies. And we don't do that anymore. And that's kind of a disappointment and a disservice to people, because this is this is like Steve said, this is the perfect movie for a family. I can
Mhm.
show this to my grandkids
Mhm.
and not worry about it. And I know if I show it to them young, like Macaulay Culkin, they're going to laugh at the kid stuff and the adults are going to laugh at the adult stuff. And we're all going to have a good time, have some popcorn, and we're all going to be like, great night. You know, like they'll laugh at the, oh, he said shit. Like we all did when we were kids. He said nuts and balls, of course. You know, you're going to laugh.
Mhm.
But then when you get to the kiddie part, the adults will laugh and think that's funny. And the kids are like, what do you mean? Don't worry about it. It's the cat joke.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like it's fun for everybody. And I don't know that you miss the star magnetism of people like a John Candy. We don't have that anymore. We're missing some of these star people who command a scene. Like when you see a John Candy movie, you're like, man, that was fun. Like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. You go watch that, completely different. Even when he does his little cameo in the end of Home Alone, when he's, the polka band driving her home. He's just great in everything he does. And then, of course, The Great Outdoors with Dan Aykroyd. I mean, fucking such a good, fun time of these movies with an amazing guy. And it's a slice of our youth, but I really feel like it's a missing piece in today's cinema that has not been filled. That no one is filling this void of the comedy that would bring families together to go to a movie together.
It would be
If
refreshing.
you're either watching kids movies, like Disney movies, or
Mhm.
or that's it. You know, you're not getting the
Well,
John
and
Hughes types.
these are low budget movies too. So I don't know why they aren't,
I don't know.
I guess sort of a double thing here where, I mean, you did have like School of Rock.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But
And
was
you
that
could
early
almost
2000s?
say
Yeah.
Jack Black would be a good Uncle
Oh.
Buck.
That's a
Mhm.
great pick right there.
It
Good
is.
job.
You know,
It is.
so I think a lot of these comedy guys, they just milked it so quickly. You know, Will Ferrell, Kevin Hart, all these guys, they just milked it so quickly that even they didn't want to do it anymore.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You look at what Will Ferrell's doing now. You know, he's trying to distance himself from. You know, he's
Yeah.
trying to spread
Yeah.
his wings and do other things because they just milk the comedy thing so much. So
Well,
yeah,
I mean, I guess we don't know because we lost John Candy. But what would he have gone on to do? I don't know. But also this type of person, we don't have obese stars. Very,
True.
very. That's that kind of thing. You have to be very pretty and not really that good of an actor.
Yeah.
Be
You know
famous
what? I
now.
think Bill Murray
Mhm.
said something recently in an interview about what funny is. It's not about trying to be funny. It's about playing straight. Being funny is playing straight. And John Candy plays it straight.
Mhm.
Bill Murray plays straight. That's what makes them funny.
Mm.
It's when you react to something with some sarcasm, but you're doing it straight. That's why people laugh.
Good
Because you're like,
point.
oh my God, that's like Steve Carell a little bit does.
Mhm.
Unless he's doing, the movies with Will Ferrell. They're just losing their minds on those are funny too.
Yeah.
But everyone's trying to play things for huge laughs or slapstick stuff. And you don't necessarily need to do
Don't
that.
need it.
We're going to lose Bill Murray soon. We're going to lose some of these greats.
Mhm.
And they're going to be
Mhm.
gone forever. And there's no one to fill the void. There is
Yeah, and that's
no
that-
one to fill that void for that kind of comedy. You know what I mean? At least in America. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
there's some good English comedians could do it, but American comedians
Really.
don't feel like we have anybody to fill the void of these comedic actors on screen. That even Jim Carrey's pulled himself away. I mean,
Mhm.
again,
Mhm.
he was great at all the stuff he does, but we don't have anybody left really who's going to fill these voids of the people who we could have a John Candy or a Bill Murray or
Yeah.
Dan Aykroyd. We're losing them because that's not the style of comedy we do anymore.
Right. Actually, I can think of a fair number of, again, they're not young. They're like middle-aged now, but like the Kristen Wiggs and the Kate
Yeah.
McKinnons and Amy Poehler, like those kind of, a
They
lot
don't
of the
get roles
women.
much anymore.
I
because
know.
we're losing because we don't. Everyone wants unfortunately, everyone wants the dick and fart jokes, which
Mhm.
they work at times, but not if everyone's doing them. If everyone's doing them, you lose any of the fun that used to be what an Adam Sandler movie used to be, because he was one of the few people who were in that realm of comedy. But if everyone's doing that, then
Yeah.
it's just
But
then
these-
it's the same thing. It's just a retread. Now you're like, oh, who's
Yeah.
going to do the best dick and fart joke? And
But then
after-
I think also with the climate we're in Hollywood, these movies they don't make enough money.
People are kind of scared to I don't know. Like, it's funny though, because it doesn't, like, this movie it was made for $15 million. The Breakfast Club, $1 million.
That's insane.
Crazy.
Insane.
But that's the thing. these sort of films can't make the money now. That's why we're in the situation we're in with blockbusters and Marvel and all this stuff, is because they need that billion. They want to hit that $1 billion mark,
Guaranteed.
and
So
they haven't got them guarantees anymore. Fortunately, they're losing money. So
Well,
I'm
you
saying,
think that with streaming, we'd be able to at least do it on those, right? Like if you're going to,
I think people are turning their backs on that bit as well.
Because it's such a poor product coming out in the comedy realm.
But a comedy movie that costs $11 million making $800 million just is not going to happen anymore.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And I think and they can't even make that money with a sure bet now.
Yeah.
Like the Superman movie that's coming out this year. I mean, part of me is I hope it fails so we can bring it down. Bring it down.
Let's
start
turn
making
the ship
movies that
around.
cost less money. We need it because that's the well's running dry on all them ideas, and you're going to have to sort of start listening to people who've got ideas and stories and stuff. Maybe. I know it's a bit naive of me to think that we could do that, but
do you really think as a society we're moving towards listening to the smart people, or
no?
I wasn't going there, but
not in America. We fucking.
Well, I just like your point about listening. People that have creative ideas and this and that.
I think the wrong people run Hollywood. I think the wrong people. Yeah. Hollywood should do this. If you're going to run a studio, run it like a football team. You own it, so run it, but put people in place who know what the fuck they're doing. Dallas Cowboys, that's just going to go over Steve's head. Dallas Cowboys have a shitty owner in Jerry Jones, and I hate the Cowboys anyway, so I'm glad they're doing bad. But they always hire somebody who kisses Jerry's ass, and he basically runs it, and he's out of touch with the team. When you have someone who was like in the Patriots, you own it, and you let someone like Bill Belichick run it, and look what the production is. So get someone in there who, can smooze and get money and yada, 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 but know your fucking lane. Let the real people who know what they're doing do the job, and let them create and stay the fuck out of their way. But they don't. They keep getting in the way, and that's why we get terrible product. That's why we remake 20,000 things. Who's begging for any remakes? Thankfully, it was a joke, but they were going to remake American Psycho with Austin Butler. We don't need a remake. It was perfect the way it is. I don't need to see
a joke,
it was. It ended up being a joke, but at the time, for a while, people were like, there's been talk of Kurt Russell's son reprising his role in a remake of Escape from New York. I don't need an Escape from New York remake. I am happy with Escape from New York as it is. You do not need to remake it. Any of these movies, find something new. Give me something new. What else can you come up with besides Escape from New York? What else you got in your well there?
What else?
Give me something new.
Yeah, spend less, but make more.
Yes.
Let people in with some ideas. But, that's a whole tangent because all the creatives are working in gaming now. They're not working in Hollywood. And so that's just another... but that's
a good point. Yeah. Oh, God, we could talk
Or they're
for
working
like
in television,
hour.
too. Some of the streaming TV is a lot better than some of the movies we get nowadays. There's just some really good stories being told.
I just think we're in a time of mediocre product and everyone's sitting at home. Movies are found at the cinema. Films that are critically well received aren't making the money, so they're flops.
Right.
But they're not flops because they suck. They flop because no one's going to the cinema, which is a whole nother thing. But when you've gone to see, you can only watch a caped guy throw someone into a building so many times before it just becomes completely redundant.
However, I would watch a movie for an hour and a half of a guy just picking up people and throwing it. That's his whole thing.
You can do that. You can do that every week. You can do that every week now. But what you can't do is go see films like Uncle Buck. Is my point.
Yes,
Uncle
right.
Buck. Yeah, and I like 89. It was. I mean, listeners, if you haven't seen Uncle Buck in a minute, I would consider this your sign to do so because we all need some more John Candy in our lives.
Yes. And John Hughes is a great comedic writer. He really is. I mean, he has some other issues, obviously, we've kind of unearthed a little bit, but his writing is for comedy
impeccable.
It really is. Yeah. It feels effortless, right? Like just, you're in certain hands of certain directors, writers, it's effortless. You don't even realize how good they are. That's how good they are at it, right? Like you just sit there and you laugh, you go, it's in that, after you've watched it, it's in that retro. When you go back, you go, holy shit. That's really, they really nailed this. This was almost ahead of its time. This guy is killing it on all levels. And, So yeah, if your listeners definitely give a, I know a lot of people are like, John Hughes, oh my God, it's all those teen movies. Let me tell you what.
Not
Uncle
all.
Buck,
Yeah,
Uncle Buck's
yeah.
pretty fucking good.
That's kind of where he started his fame, and then he kind of turned a corner with it, with these family ones. But
He got older. He got older himself, I guess, and different things became
more important to him. Yeah. Or,
and you don't want to be.
We talked about it in the Breakfast Club episode as to that.
I'm afraid of that one.
Yeah, as there was a couple of events that happened that kind of that was his sign. Probably a combination, to your point, like he was getting older, but a sign that he started doing this kind of stuff, which I will take it all day, every day.
Yeah.
I'll have your guys' links and stuff in the show notes.
Thank
Is there
you.
anywhere that you want to tell people to go?
For the two podcasts we do together as the Cheeky Basterds, we have the Men of Action, we have Dropping a Bruce. You can go to the Last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network, which you're also part of with some of your other shows. That's the easiest way to probably find us there, because our links are there. And then for me, I'm just at the Church of QT Pod. You can type that into any one of the, I don't know, they'll be on Twitter much longer. I'm already
out.
The blue
I'm
thing.
out.
What's the
I'm
blue
out.
one?
I'm out.
Yeah, I just got to move some. Tell some
I'm
people
on Blue
out.
Sky.
Blue Sky.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've been moving there. But yeah, other than that, yeah, we drop something every other Tuesday. Basically, is how we do it over for ours. Yeah, first up is the Men of Action, and we are doing sequels from action movies. We're pit two against each other, and there's a theme. And then we are just about to start season 3, the final full season of Dropping a Bruce. So,
and we've got the awards ceremony.
yes, that'll come out on Bruce's birthday, which is in March 19th. Yes. And then we start the following.
Our tuxes are pressed and we're ready to go.
Yes.
I like it.
Got my speech lined up and everything.
We've got a couple of STDs to hand out.
to spread around.
Yes. We've got 24 now. So we're 16 more to go. So we're almost there. But yeah.
Well, if you guys liked this episode, please drop a review. It could be the podcast version of a giant pancake. Consider it that, to bring it back to Uncle Buck. It does help more retro fans find us. So please do that. And until next time, be kind, rewind.